Chantel to jump on so we can check my lighting, and we'll go ahead and get started. Jake's on, Chantel. Oops. I'm doing well, thank you. I'm excited for this live. Hi, Jessica. Chantel cannot get on for some reason. We are on. Hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Good morning. I'm just going to wait a couple more minutes for everyone to join. I hope my lighting looks okay. I've got a lot of stuff happening here in the background. I'm sorry. It seems to work better with my lighting if I keep it natural back here, but maybe next time we'll try a different color or white. Black is really hard in this room. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I want to get started pretty soon because we have a lot to cover today. But I just want to give everyone a few more minutes to jump on because I know we were a little bit late with the link. So let's just see. Okay. Jake, if you can help Chantel, that would be great. There she is. There's my girl. All right, Chantel, let me know if you think the lighting is okay. I tried to warm it up a little bit. Just going to give everyone a couple more minutes to jump on. I'm really excited to be here today. Today, actually, oh, nice. Okay, great. So I have a couple things. I just want to start off this live with the fact that we are doing this weekly. And so it's really exciting to be a part of this and to be able to give you guys what you're looking for. So today I'm going to focus mostly on skin and brush mechanics. And we're going to do, or brush technique, if you will. And I'm going to do a more natural makeup, a little bit of a departure for me. Hi, Joycelyn. Thanks for joining. Hi, Kim. Hi, Pat. Hi, everyone. And I want to let you know if you have any questions or you're not sure what product I'm using, if you check in the comment box, Chantel is going to be keeping track of everything that I'm using as I'm using it. And this will obviously sit here on YouTube if you want to come back and rewatch it. We would love to have that happen. Hello, thanks for joining. So I'm very excited to have all of you here. And today, as I said, we're going to be talking about skincare and brush mechanics. We all know that I am a woman over 40. And so I want to talk a little bit about mature skin. I know hooded eyelids is a thing. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And I'm going to go ahead and get started with my makeup. I have nothing on my face right now, which can I just get a moment for how brave this is? I hope I'm not scaring anyone. And also today, I think my mom will probably be on, but today is my parents' 53rd wedding anniversary. So I just wanted to take a moment to shout out about that and congratulate them. It's quite an honor and an amazing feat at this point. So what I'm going to do right now is, hi, Susan. I'm going to go ahead and start with, this is our Fix Plus, but this is a really interesting formula. This is the Magic Radiance. And what's really unique about this product is it has and green tea. It also has some essential oils in it, as well as our softening lotion. And so it's this really beautiful magical mix. It's very hydrating to the skin. And as this weather has kind of been all over the place, you know, your skin can go through a lot of changes. And also for all of us being at home, my skin has changed a lot. And I also have more time to take care of my skin. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about that. So I think it's really important. I guess my two biggest beauty tips, stay out of the, well, three, stay out of the sun. 4, drink water, and then exfoliation and hydration. Those are like the two main things when you're dealing with skincare. So I'm going to let that sit into my skin a little bit and it just feels so good and refreshing, and it instantly hydrates the skin. Now, because there is essential oils in this, it's going to feel very different than the regular Fix Plus. So you need to be mindful of that, where Fix Plus by itself is actually more of just hydration It's an instant burst of water and also has a lot of setting properties to makeup. This actually has a little bit more of a hydration piece and an emollient piece, which basically means that you're getting moisture and water. So those two things are very important on the skin. Now, because I'm going to be wearing foundation and I don't want my foundation to go everywhere, this is my new magical mix. So I have been doing a lot of lives, a lot of different makeup looks on myself and trying different foundations and things like that. And these two products, especially this one, this is strobe cream. It's been around for a very long time, since 2000 actually. And Prep and Prime Natural Radiance is a slightly bit newer, but it's been around a long time too. But I have recently fallen in love, or back in love, rekindled my love affair with these two products. So what I have found that works really well is to mix them together, and you get this luxurious cocktail for your skin that really adds this beautiful radiance. So what is really special about the Natural Radiance is that, first of all, it comes in two colors. And I guess if I was really trying to be bougie, I would use the pink one, but the yellow one works on every skin tone. And because I'm a makeup artist by trade, I tend to use things that I can use on a lot of different skin tones. So whether you're as fair as I am, or if you're a darker, deeper skin tone, you can still use this product. And what's really beautiful about it is that it doesn't have silicone. So if you're used to primers with silicone, oftentimes that can make your foundation roll a little bit if you're not careful. Some people also can't wear silicone, and that's the beauty of this product. It also gives a really luminous finish to the skin, and it has silica, which is really good for oil control. The other thing that I love is strobe cream. Now, strobe cream comes in a lot of different colors now. We have silver light, pink light, red light, peach light, and pink light. I would say pink is really good for my skin tone. It's the original. I love gold. I love the peach. If your skin's a little deeper, you want to use the peach one probably, or gold, or even the red. So I'm going to mix these two together, and I'm just going to use it on the back of my hand. And you'll notice that I'm applying it with my hands as well. And there is a good reason for that. I am an esthetician, and so, touch is very important to me. And I'm just going to show you what that looks like. See how that radiates the light? It's just so dynamic. But when you use it with your hands, you can actually make sure that all of your skin is evenly covered. And I think that's the biggest trick. And I know when I'm applying moisturizer or any kind of skincare regimen, it's really important to me that everything feels equally hydrated and moisturized. And so it is really beautiful, Dorothy, yes. And also, too, remember, everyone, that the skin does not end at the neckline. So we want to make sure that we're getting our décolleté and our neck. I like to use upward motions when I'm doing my neck. It's very important. And I think a little facial massage is really important for a lot of reasons. One is because it's good for lymphatic drainage. And it's also really good to sort of bring the skin back to like a plump. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing worse than feeling super dehydrated. And then you put moisturizer on and your skin just comes alive. And so even though my face may got a little bit of red from me touching it, because I'm a little bit sensitive, you'll notice that it just evens out my skin tone and makes me really radiant in all the right spots. And that's what I want. And so when I'm working towards end result, the most important thing is to sort of set your intention of your makeup. And by using primers in certain places, or by using things like strobe cream, you're really dictating how your foundation is going to look by the end of your makeup application. Yes, you can use it if you're oily. And what I was saying earlier about this product is that it has silica in it, Dorothy, that helps you control oil. Now, if you are super oil product that I love, I don't use this a lot on myself because I am actually not oily, but Skin Refine Zone is this beautiful serum. And I'm just going to show you actually just kind of on the tip of my nose, because you can see there's a little bit of shine there. So I'm just going to show you what this product does. You just need a little tiny bit, and it has salicylic acid in it, which is sort of like an unsung hero in sort of exfoliation and keeping the skin texture in a really good, healthy balance. And so as this dries down, and I'll do a little bit here because I tend to get a hot spot right here by my eyebrows. Sometimes what happens is you get moisturizer in your eyebrows and you can't ever get it matte. So this is wonderful. You can use it over top of your makeup if you want. You can just press it into bare skin. And what it does is it gives you a flat texture. And you can see that I just took the shine right down off my nose without powder. And that's the beauty of this serum. It is a must-have, especially if you are oily. So when I'm working with a client that's oily, I will do a T-zone application of this, and I will do Prep and Prime Natural Radiance everywhere else because we want to have that radiance here. But even in the nasal labia fold, which is this spot right here, which tends to get oily on people, you can do a tap in a little bit of that Skin Refine Zone. It is just a beautiful product. I mean, I think for us, it's a kind of a cult product for all the people that I work with. It's really magical, and especially if even for men's grooming, if you feel like you're shiny or you want to be a little bit more matte in certain areas, it's beautiful for men because it has no texture. It doesn't feel like you're wearing makeup. It's a really, really great product. So I'm just going to wipe my hand off. I'm actually going to do one other thing too, and I apologize. So for dry skin, as I just said, I'm pretty dry. I'm normal to dry. I love the Fix Plus Natural Radiant. I'm sorry, Fix Plus Magic Radiance because it has moisturizers and humectants in it. And then I also love Strobe Cream and Natural Radiance. And that's what's giving me this beautiful shine on my skin. And it's absolutely beautiful and hydrating. It has vitamin E, vitamin C for your free radicals. It's a pretty amazing product. It also has, the other thing that's really cool about it is it has these illuminating pearl pigments in it. And what they do is they reflect light. So you can see that it just where the skin bounces or where there's high planes of my face, you can see that I got a good shine. But in the places where I put that Skin Refine Zone, like in the nasal labia fold here, the corner of my nose, and a little bit here on my eyebrow and on the tip of my nose, it's much flatter. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get into some foundation. So I'm going to do a little bit of a departure today. I tend to use a lot of concealer as foundation, but today, because we're talking about a little bit more mature skin, I thought it would be really great to talk about our Pro Longwear Nourishing product. Now, Pro Longwear Nourishing is a beautiful foundation. It has an SPF, and it also got a 24-hour wear claim. Now, I never recommend wearing foundation for 24 hours. I think removing your makeup at the end of the day is very important in your skincare regime. However, what's really beautiful about it is the wearability. And as we've sort of moved into this new normal of potentially having to wear masks in our public life, and also, as a mature person, I don't want to put a lot of powder on my skin. So this is a great way to be able to get that coverage that's long wearing and also gives you a flawless finish that's not going to come off or rub off on your clothes or on a mask and those kinds of things. So I'm going to use just a little bit of this, and I'm going to use one of my favorite brushes, the 170 brush. Now, we are going to talk about brush mechanics today too. So what's really beautiful about this brush is it is a man-made bristle. It's domed. I don't know. I'm going to get kind of close to the camera so you all can see. It's really luxurious feeling. All the bristles are sort of extruded, and so they all are really soft on the skin, and because it's domed, it sort of hits and hugs all the contours of the face. So I'm going to come really close under my eye, a little bit onto my eyelid as well, starting in the center of the face. And that's also kind of important because most of us need the most coverage. So Jessica, just so you know, Chantel is going to be writing in the comments everything I'm using. This is called Pro Longwear Nourishing Foundation. The brush number is 170. And so I'm just starting in the center of my face. And you can see how the coverage. Now, the thing that's so beautiful about this foundation and why I love it so much is because you can get like a full coverage with it. Like literally you could cover any blemish, any hyperpigmentation, any chloasma, anything like that. Out. And so that beauty of getting a heavier coverage foundation. Ooh. All right. I look like I froze for a coverage foundation. Ooh. All right. I look like I froze for a second. I'm sorry. I stopped talking because I got an alert that I had a weak connection. So I'm just going in again. This is Pro Longwear Nourishing, the 170 brush. I haven't changed anything. And as you can see, I'm going to get a little bit closer here. Take a little bit over my lips. Sometimes I have a lot of color in my lips naturally, and I can find it to be a little bit distracting. So I'm just going to go over my lips a little bit. And I'm going to take this down onto my neck. Again, we're getting into these like changes in weather. I did not go into the sun a lot when I was young. I was kind of a vampire, but I do have hyperpigmentation on my chest. I was not really good about wearing sunscreen on my chest and shoulders when I was a kid. And so that's where a lot of my damage, my sun damage, has sort of evolved and shown up now as I've gotten older. And so it's weird when your face is perfect and then your chest has some discoloration. So I'm going to just take whatever's left on my brush and come down on my neck and onto my décolleté a little bit. Because remember, we talked about this earlier, that the skin does not end at the jawline, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So how does this look? Does this look even and natural? I'm going to wait for a comment. See if I need to add a little more. This comes in a lot of different colors. Again, it's great for all skin types, but it does work really well on a drier skin because it is quite nourishing. And so for a long wearing product, oftentimes we think, thank you. Thanks everyone. We often think that long wearing products are for oily skin, but dry skin needs long wearing products too, because I don't want to put powder. So self-setting is, I look touch pale. Well, that's okay. If I look at touch pale, we're going to add contour and things like that. So it will also warm up a little bit. So I had two shades that I was kind of going back and forth. I think I get what you're saying, Kim, about using light coverage for every day. You can, let me tell you something. If you put a little tiny bit of this natural radiance into a little hack, if you put it into your long wearing makeup, it's going to sheer it out and make it a little bit more like a tinted moisturizer, and you're still going to get that wearability. So there are ways to manipulate foundation. Obviously, not everybody wants to do that. Some people want whatever they want to put on, they want it straight out of the bottle. Totally fair. As a makeup artist, I tend to do a lot of hacks. So, all right. So what I'm going to do now, if I still look a little bit pale, I'm going to go in with some contour. This product sets up pretty quickly. Yeah, so this particular product is a long wearing 24-hour wear. So once it sets, it's pretty transfer resistant. I'm not going to make you any false promises that if you rubbed on it or if it sat there all day, that it wouldn't transfer. But if to the touch, it's pretty stable. So it's, I don't think anything is totally foolproof unless it has an alcohol setting spray on it. That's really the only way to super seal something. But I think that it is really tenacious, if you will. So this product, I use this thing all the time. And as we get into sort of the brush mechanics of things and placement, etc., I use this palette in every makeup that I do. So this palette comes in two different colors. This is the light to medium, and then it also has a medium to dark. And this is our Studio Sculpt and Shape palette. And you'll see when I open it, and Studio Sculpt and Shape palette, and you'll see when I open it, and I apologize, I need one of these. I love this color apparently, but I really try to dip into all three of these. And the brush that I'm using for this application is called the 168 brush. Yes, I am an NC15, NW20, somewhere in there. And at MAC, NC is cooler toned, so more olive or golden, and NW is a bit more pinky peach. So what I used, and I'm sorry, I have my contacts in, but I still can't read with my contacts. So I have on ND that I was using, and then I also have NC17. And so those were the two that I was mixing together. All right, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, but I pulled my hair back so you can see what I'm talking about, because this gives us a really good division of when your hair is down versus when your hair is pulled back. And obviously when your hair is down, your hair will create a natural shadow that sort of lives on your face. So you probably need less contour than you would when your hair is pulled back. But I really wanted you to be able to see the application. So this is the 168 brush, okay? And as you can see, it's got a little bit of a slant to it. And the reason why it's gold handled is this was a specialty packaging that we did, but it's the same brush in the black handle as well. And you'll notice when you come into your ear here, this is the tragus of the ear. And if you take a second and just stick your finger there, you'll notice that the bone kind of like hinges in front of the ear. And that's where we want to hit our brush first. So I'm going to come in and just start to paint and brush, and you'll notice where my hand is on the brush. It's kind of, I don't want to hike up on the ferrule. That's this part of the brush here, is the metal part. I'm going to pull back a little bit into the wood part of the handle, and I'm going to use my wrist a bit more than my hand. And I'm going to use my wrist to move the brush back and forth to hug the bottom part of my cheekbone. Now, for me, because I want this to be, I like a lot of shape happening on my cheekbones. I don't have protruding cheekbones, but as you can see, adding that has changed the shape of my face, right? So now I'm starting to I'm building dimension. I was very flat because I was all one color. And that's what happens sometimes when you do foundation, especially when you're a more mature skin. You put the foundation on and suddenly you're like, if you need more coverage, if you have hyperpigmentation or you like to have a little bit more, opacity to your makeup, you look all one color and it makes you look really flat and really pale. So I'm going back in and adding some dimension. And that's what contour really does. It just starts to bring volume back into the shape of your face. And sorry, I just dropped my brush. So I really so that's a great question, Maria. Sorry, Marla, I apologize. I don't have my glasses on. So a good rule of thumb, this is not steadfast for everyone, but a good rule of thumb is to take your 2 fingers to the corner of your mouth. And that's about where you want it to stop. Okay, that's just a good guideline. Because when you start to go too far into the face or get too close to the nose, it creates a whole myriad of, it sort of alters the face in a weird way. Some people like to do this. My bone structure doesn't work for that face. So I find it better I either smile or I just turn and look at the light and I can feel that bone. At the beginning of this, when I was applying my moisturizer, I use my hands. And one of the reasons I do that, even when I'm working with clients, is because I want to feel the bones under the canvas. I want to intensify the bones that are already there. So I'm going to go back in now, pick up a little more product, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Again, and this is the other thing about using a brush or any application, is wherever your brush hits first is where that color is going to be the most intense. And so you have to think about that a little bit. I am not a believer in hard, fast rules, but it is very important that you have a little bit of direction about what you're doing. So again, my hair is going to cover that intensity here, and I'm just going to come in. And I apologize that sometimes I'm looking at myself. I'm using my computer as my mirror, and it's, I'm sure, disorienting for you all. But I'm just using the brush, and you can turn the brush any way you want. You can use the tip of it. I like to use the full sort of expression of the brush. So I would go into my face like this. Okay, so perpendicular almost. And because that to me hugs my bone the best. But if your bone is more protruding, you might want to flip the brush so that the long end is on the bottom and then it's hugging your cheekbone too. So it sort of just depends on your shape, but there you go. So now I have a little bit of contour. Now I can also take whatever's left on the brush. I've had a lot of snacks over the quarantine, so I'm going to just carve out my jawline a little bit and pull that color down. And the other thing I want to do is just contour the crease of my eye a little bit. So whatever's left on the brush, and I just washed my brushes yesterday so that they would be nice and clean for you all today. But I'm just hitting my brow bone as well. And you can see that that starts to give me my color and my shape back. Now, if I have a very small forehead, I have a 3 head actually. So if I came into here, what would happen is it would close my forehead even more. So I like to keep that kind of open here for me. I need a little bit more space to balance out the proportion of my face. Okay. And this is not a bronzer. This is actually, bronzers tend to be warmer. This has a little bit of a cooler tone. It's a more natural looking shadow. And that's what I'm trying to create here, is a shadow. I'm not trying to necessarily warm up my skin or make myself look sun-kissed. That's a totally different class. So I hope that this is understandable and I'm using proper English and easy steps here. But again, look at where my hand is on my brush. It's pulled back a little bit and I'm really, okay, cool. So a bit of contour. I'm going to go in and start doing some stuff on my eyes. All right. So I'm going to use a really beautiful palette. And if you're someone who's looking for a more natural kind of makeup, this is the MAC Art Library palette, and this is Nude Model. And I'm just going to show you these colors really close up. This is such a beautiful palette for so many reasons. It's got just an unbelievable array of colors that work on all skin tones. So you can play around with this and change things out and use different shades in different places. I think what I'm going to do when I'm looking at this as a more natural look for me, and also just as something easy to apply, I'm going to start here with this color, which is actually called Nude Model. And then I don't know all the names of these colors, but I'm going to use this sort of mauve-y tone. And then I'm probably going to use one of these two for my eyebrows. So I'm going to show you, and then probably one of these for highlighting. Oh, and you can see me. This is sort of weird. Hi. All right. Before we start that, I'm going to go in with a little bit of 24-hour eye base. This is my best friend for locking in color. And one of the things I've been asked a lot is about hooded eyelids. My eyelids are not totally hooded, but I do have a very, very prominent brow bone. So I find that I need to use a primer to lock in color. And when you have a hooded eyelid or you're challenged with your brow bone, using a primer is paramount. Important that you have something that holds that eyeshadow into place. And I'm truly a believer that sheer light layers work way better than globbing on a heavy load of one application. So while all I'm doing is using my ring finger and I'm going back and forth under my eye, because a lot of us have that problem where we find that our underneath kind of moves a little bit during the day. I wear glasses generally, so I need something that really holds my makeup. And the other thing I'm going to do here, even though I already put a little bit of color in my crease, is I'm taking that base all the way up to my eyebrow. I want this entire canvas from my lashes to my brow to be gessoed, or if you will, or primed. So the 24-hour eye base is really going to do that. Oh, I froze? Okay. So when you have a hooded eyelid, it's really paramount that you have a primer on your eyelid. It's so important because that holds that product in place and keeps it from transferring all over the place. And also I like to use it under my eye as well because I wear glasses, and I find that a lot of women, one of their biggest complaints is they feel like everything under their eye tends to migrate. This will keep it from doing that. Thank you. Oh, a curly girl. I'm a curly girl too. I just straightened my hair, but you can see as I'm getting hot from working, my hair is curling. All right. So now what I'm going to do, I want to press color on. So when you think about your brush choice, pressing is going to require a brush that's a bit stiffer. Okay. And actually what I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to have my lash line a little bit. So I'm going to use a color called Teddy Eye Coal. You don't have to do this step. You could leave this step out, but I like to have intensity by my lash line. And again, if you have a hooded eyelid, intensity by the lash line is really important. Honestly, you only need to let it sit for like 10 seconds. It dries pretty quickly. So I find that it's a pretty easy product to work with. Just less is more. That's the biggest thing, is just making sure you're not globbing a ton of it on, because it's a very intense product. So again, it's the 24-hour base. Yes, Teddy is everything. So I'm going to come in just to my root of my lash. And I don't want a lot of this. I just am trying to, like, I have really blonde eyelashes because, believe it or not, I'm pretty much a blonde naturally. So I'm going to come in and just intensify right by my eyelash line. And I did this in my last video with Smolder. But I want you to see the difference when you do something that's like a warm, beautiful brown. And Teddy is just, it's just a gorgeous color. It's very wearable for a lot of different people. And now what I'm going to do is I'm picking up my 239 brush, and you'll notice that this brush is very flat and kind of small, and it has a tapered end. And the reason why I'm using that is because I want a pressing motion, and I really want to get into the detail here. So I find that this brush, for many people, even if you have a smaller eyelid or a larger eyelid, this is a really good size and a really good brush for more precision and more intensity work. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll turn the brush upside down. And again, you'll notice my hand placement is a little farther back on the brush, right? And you want to come in and I also too, good trick in the mirror is to put your mirror here and look down into it. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you look down into it and then you can see your eyelid. Okay. So I'm going to flip the brush now and just sort of work that excess Teddy just onto my lid, just a little bit. But now I have a really pretty stain of brown on my eye. And because I have the 24-hour eye base, I could literally just leave this. And I'm going to do the same thing underneath. So I'm going to come underneath my eye. And again, my best trick for this, don't be too caught up on it being perfect. I think as we get a little bit older, really high, tight lines, hard, tight lines around the eye can be distracting and make the eyes look really small. So what I have found is something that's a bit blurrier, a bit more like a shadow, actually looks more flattering and a little prettier, and a little more natural. So I still want that intensity. Oh my gosh. I still want that intensity. I flip the brush upside down, okay? And I'm coming and it just fits perfectly right under my eye. And I am using that brush back and forth and even moving my head a little bit to get that color blended. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm getting a pop-up on my screen. This is very frustrating. Okay. So you can see already that I've got a nice definition happening, a little bit of intensity on my eyelid and a little more intensity underneath the eye. And this is a great way to add dimension and intensity without over on and go out the door right now. And this product isn't going to move because it has the 24-hour eye base under it. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye. Hope you all can see. I'm just coming as close to my lash line as possible. Okay. Again, turning my brush upside down, point down, and I am just working this color back and forth. I'm really trying to mush it into so lash line, almost like an invisible eyeliner in my root of my lash. I'm going to blend the color out so it doesn't look harsh. And then I'm going to do the same thing underneath my eye. And I'm just holding my mirror up, looking straight into the mirror and using my pencil to just intensify. Oh, thank you so much. I do not have little children. I have little kitties. All right, so I am just going to come in and work this color out. And there, so already, like, I find that that heaviness under the eye is really pretty. It doesn't mean it has to be like Tom Brady heavy, like you're not putting, quarterback slices under your eye, but it's just that intensity by the bottom lash line. And when I look straight ahead, it just really brings out the color of my eye as well. And that's a whole nother class about color theory, but Teddy is such a beautiful warm brown that it really is flattering on lots of different eye colors. So, all right. So now that it really is flattering on lots of different eye colors. So, all right. So now we're going to go into my palette. I'm going to use the same brush. All right. We want brushes that have multiple uses. So I'm going to dip in the model. And you'll see that my brush is loaded and I've really used the entire surface area of the brush. And that's also important. A lot of people come in and they like kind of stab their eye. We don't want to do that. We don't want any stabbing. We want to press. So I'm holding the brush flush to my eye and I'm pressing the color on. And I am just using my natural shape of my eye to really guide me through the application process. And I'm going to do the same thing on this eye. I'm sorry, these lives are really tricky with the lag. I know I feel like there's no perfect way to make this happen if live. It's probably a little less laggy when you pre-record it, but then I don't get the intimacy of talking to you guys. I'm freezing. No, I don't want to freeze. Okay. So I'm just coming in. I hope you guys can see the beautifulness of this color. Now, I have a girlfriend that has green eyes, and I use this color on her. It's absolutely beautiful. It looks great on brown eyes as well, hazel eyes. I mean, it's just one of those colors that really works on everyone. And I'm just going to keep it right there. I think that's a really pretty natural look. A lot of people get nervous about frosted eyeshadows, but the thing that's so beautiful, yes, I haven't, my nose pierced. One thing that's really beautiful about frosted eyeshadows or metallic eyeshadows is that they reflect light. And so if they're not super chunky and they don't have high particle frost or a lot of glitter in them, they look really beautiful and they're super easy to blend. The blendability is really key. And so I recommend them a lot, especially when people are kind of newer to eyeshadows or newer to using brushes. Okay, so the next brush that I love to use and we're going to talk about, and is one of my favorites, I'm actually going to show you two examples because we want to talk about doing something in the crease of your eye. So these are two different examples. A lot of people love the 217 brush because it's a very, very versatile brush. It's kind of got a little less bounce, and it also has a tapered end, a fluffy tapered end, which allows you to get into that crease area really nicely and really tightly. I am not someone who necessarily always does a tight blend. So I love the 224 brush. And this brush is sort of like, we used to call it, when I started at MAC 24 years ago, we called this the windshield wiper brush. But it's what gave MAC girls their like flawless blended crease. So I'm going to start with this sort of warm brown tone here. It's kind of a peachy tone. I'm sorry, I don't know the name. But once you have the palette, you got all the colors. So I'm going to start there, and I'm going to use a little bit of this starting in the center of my eyelid right here. And you'll notice again where my hand is on the brush. Wherever this brush hits first is where that color is going to be the most intense, and I'm just going to start to work this out. So I put it in the center, and then I'm moving in towards my nose and out towards the outer corner of my eye. And I'm just starting to, what I'm going to do is keep the color. This is the most important thing. If you have a hooded eyelid, look at yourself in the mirror with your eyes open and put your brush there. And that's why sometimes a 217 is a better tool, because it's a little tighter. And if you have a hooded eyelid, you want to come in where your eye is open and you want to apply the color there, because then you can see it when your eye is open. If you try to do everything closed, oftentimes when you open your eye, it'll disappear. So that's sort of the best trick I can tell you. One is a primer. Two is keeping colors softer on the inner corner that are a little softer, maybe a little pearlier, a little more opening to the eye, because light colors are